Need for Speed, the franchise that we love, or we hate, or we used to love, or we used to hate, or whatever way you want to interpret it. And it's also one of the most long-running franchises that we know for over 25 years. And in this story video, I'm gonna talk about all the Need for Speed games that I played and owned in the past to right now in the present. I don't know where to start off with back in 2010, either Hot Pursuit 2 or Underground 2. I would say Underground 2 if I had the game on my PlayStation 2 back in the day. Instead, I got my N4S 2 instead, but that's a different story. So, I'd say let's start off with Hot Pursuit 2. So, I played this game with my cousin, and this was the GameCube version out of all the versions that exist. And we used to have fun back then, and this was around the time that Need for Speed used to be split screen. So we all go mess around with the low tier cars like the Mustang or the Opals or whatever it's unlocked right out the get-go. And we just mess around at a certain map, and that certain map was Coastal Parklands. Like, we did role-playing and stuff. We had fun with the police. We tried to do the missions, but we didn't progress that very far, so yeah, it was just a casual fun that we had with that game. But that version was nothing compared to the PS2 version, which I did eventually play but at a friend's house, which I don't talk to nowadays because I just can't get a hold of him now, sadly. But it was completely different, and I like that version more. I mean, it was different from what I already got used to. But man, oh man, I wish I owned the game, but I never got the chance to even buy the game for myself. Now, at that same friends, I used to play Underground 2. Meaning, at that point, that's when I finally played and know what Underground 2 was. A game that I already mentioned earlier that I had the case, but didn't have the game. So, I had fun with that game. I even enjoyed playing and messing around with Rachel's 350, and even drove with the Honda Civic because, I don't know, that's just what I was into. I like the Honda Civic, and it was due to the Fast and the Furious with the heist scenes. The first movie scenes, not the stuff that we see nowadays. Succeeded in the races that I could do with the Honda Civic, and even upgraded the Civic when I remember I was doing visual customization and performance. Okay, now this is where I talk about the Need for Speed game that everybody loves, or most of you love, and pretty much is now overrated because you guys have been milking it so much. Most Wanted 05 on the GameCube, on my cousin's house, like the same person that I mentioned earlier about the Hot Pursuit 2 experience that I had first in this franchise. Most Wanted 05, it was a pretty good experience, but what we mostly did was just play in the prologue, you know, the same prologue, just to play with the M3 GTR because we didn't bother to progress through the story. And it's because we love that M3 GTR, just like anyone else here. That sound, that look, that iconic legacy that it will fulfill later on in the franchise, even if we were playing the game 5 years after its release. But we were young, so regardless, we had a lot of fun in that prologue. Even if we were just, struggling after that prologue and try to do the story, we only managed to beat Sony, just one Blacklist member. Well, I did most of the work, but still. We did play split screen, but it was fun. It was okay. But we just had more fun with Hot Pursuit 2 because it was just where we started and we never let that go until we eventually grew up and forgot about those memories until I brought them back now. I would mention Need for Speed Carbon since it's not a version that nobody owned but myself since my dad bought it for me, but it's a GameCube version. Obviously I didn't have a GameCube since I pretty much grew up with PlayStation, but I did have a Wii at the time. The problem was, I did not have a controller nor a memory card, and I was gullible to believe that what my friend said, which is the same friend that had the PS2 version of Underground 2, that the GameCube disc could be stuck in the Wii because of its size, when that wasn't the case. But I believed it anyways, and never played Carbon. And still to this day, I still haven't played Carbon. Well, the game itself, at least. I did eventually play the demo. And owning the Wii, you guys know Need for Speed Nitro. We all know that game and how that is and what the reputation it has gathered. I didn't play that one. I played Hot Pursuit, the Wii version, way before, well, a year before I touched the HD and original version by Criterion. And let's just say, when comparing it to the original, it was something different for the bad reasons. Yeah, it had some certain power-ups, and it definitely felt like Nitro, even if I never played Nitro. But I still have fun with it. I mean, I gotta say, I only enjoyed it partially because of the body kits, even if you can't remove them afterwards because you wanted to. Nor the livery. Once you pick a color, you can't change back. Well, I mean, the livery, you can change colors and put whatever sticker you want to do. What I meant to say is the paint. Once you buy the car and you choose a paint, you can't change it back. I did beat the game and I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed the power-ups like, you know, the fuel, which is basically your shield, and cruise control, which you're being auto-driven for a short amount of time, the shockwave, and all that stuff. Nothing compared to the pursuit tech that we know in the HD version, but still some fun gimmicks to mess around, even if they're kind of unbalanced or terrible at times. Fast forwarding a year, after owning an Xbox 360 for like a month or so, on 2011, I got Hot Pursuit again on the 360. Now, what got me to have the 360 instead of the PlayStation 3, since before the Wii, I used to be a PlayStation fanboy, basically, owning the PS1 and 2, but why the 360? The Kinect. I mean, it was cool at the time, and it was something that I convinced my mom as an excuse to exercise inside the house instead of going outside because I had no friends. Now, totally a different experience, but I did progress through that game. Even if it was difficult, what I've already gotten used to with the Wii, I managed to get through. I enjoy the cars, and even a lot more than what the Wii offered. Sure, I like the customization, but hey, at least I can change colors to what I want and drive cars better, and in a lot of crisper quality than what the Wii was. Though, I do have some, let's just say, struggles with that game that sometimes to this day I still kinda do, even if I improve over the 9 years of playing and owning that game. Intercepted events, bro. It's not like the time trials and the racer campaign, because if you crash or hit the wall in any way, you're gonna get penalized, and that kinda ruins the time between from your point A to point B run. Hotting up, you know, the event that everybody in 2020 knows that it's the 510 event, which it's not that complicated. I had struggles with that. A lot of struggles. Struggles that involve being surrounded by the 5-0, getting hit by spike strips, EMPs, even the helicopter, even, well, I was lacking experience at that time that I couldn't even finish the event, let alone get first place. But I did manage to prevail on a Viper ACR one time and another time with the Murcielago SV. I even remember in 2015 that I completed every single event in Hot Pursuit 2010, everything in gold. It was hard to get there because of the interceptors mostly, but I did it. In my head, I felt like I basically accomplished something, but hey, gold is gold, managed to do it. The run is next, and I remember seeing trailers on YouTube and gameplay videos that I really was hooked up in the game, and that was because of the story, man. Because it was action-packed, and nothing compared to what the Wii had. Well, I didn't knew what the Wii... Well, I kind of knew there was a Wii version, just never bothered to get it. But eventually got the HD version, and that's what I've been hooked up since. Short story. I like the story, even if it nowadays is just... trash. But still have fun with it. And that's also the game that got me hooked up with the Lamborghini Aventador. Even if I never got to drive it in that game because it had to be a limited edition, which I did have the limited edition, but at the time, I didn't know how Xbox Live worked. Connected to the internet and make an Xbox Live account. I didn't do none of that, but I wish I could go back in time and do that just to drive that one car, along with the 911 and the Camaro. I mean, I was living simpler times without Xbox Live until 2015 when I just decided somehow, in some way, knew how to make an account.
to Xbox Live.
And even still to this day, I can't even get the challenge series in platinum or even gold. I can't do that. I've been struggling in certain events, especially one in the New York stage. But anyways, moving on to Burnout Fairhaven. Most Wanted 2012. I'm not gonna lie, I did have fun with that game. I didn't care much about the difference between this and the original Most Wanted. I just had fun with it. Plus, it was easier to get cars. Even though I did like the progression system. But it is what it is, or it was what it was. Now, there will be a long period of time before I could even buy a new legit Need for Speed game between 2012 to 2018. Well, I did buy Most Wanted 2012 in 2012, December 2012 to be specific. But since then, nothing. Except for one, and that was at a Goodwill sale though. Pretty good find, not sponsored, but gotta like Goodwill. You just never know what you might find there. Maybe find some goodies or just be cursed and just suffer that you can't find nothing good there. But I managed to get Underground 1, and the experience with that is just I enjoy the music and I enjoy customizing vehicles. I didn't get far in the story because I didn't have a memory card up until a year later when I got the game. But what I wish is to experience it a lot more. By that I mean I somehow lost a disc during that time. I managed to buy it again at a different Goodwill. Sucks that the game was so scratched that I can't play it. But that was my experience with Underground 1. I played it, I enjoyed it, but never got far with it, unfortunately. And skipping that time to now what it is, November 2018, that is when I bought, or I should say my mother and myself bought not one, but two Need for Speed games. Undercover and Payback. And I'm starting with Payback first. Of course, let's just put it like this, bro. Payback is okay, but it's the execution that gains it a bad reputation. It's not Most Wanted 2012 bad, alright? It's just the way that it's executed. The story is cheesy, which I can get along with the story. It's just how it's portrayed that makes it bad. Even the characters, too. That just makes only Marcus Weir and Lena the leading characters to carry the story instead of the trio that we're supposed to play as. And to put it like this, it's an okay game. Besides the shit that it contains, especially the microtransactions and loot boxes. It's Electronic Arts after all. And I'm just saying this in a legit perspective than what I already said about the Everything Wrong With series that I made of this game. Though earlier around that same year, I played Payback at my cousin's because he used to own it. Now keep in mind, he is not a big racing game fan like I am. Therefore, he didn't own that many racing games since he likes to play NBA 2K. But he did have Payback, and I just decided to come through one time and just help him out. Just because I like racing games and just to see how far I can get with that game. I enjoy the game. I like the difficulty. Just didn't like, how EA made it. Or forced Ghost Games to make it. Yeah, I had Break the Drift, but I was already used to it since at the time, I still had my Xbox 360. I didn't own the PlayStation 4 then. And once I own it, well, rest is history with the Everything Wrong With series that I made with this game, plus a playthrough that I made with this game. Now, Undercover. Trash. Okay, it's not that garbage because I was able to handle it, but it's just the handling just feels so weird, man. Yeah, the story's confusing because let's just say the game was intended to have multiple options, but time constraints just made it to be condensed into a single storyline that just sometimes don't make any sense. I did like autosculpt because it's a feature that we can't have again. And most important feature that Ghost Games failed to deliver is to pick the same wheels front and rear, not just pick them differently individually. That's annoying. But it's Undercover. Broken as it is, I managed to suffer through it. Hell, I even one time shut down Chase in less than 20 seconds somehow. and a Gallardo. Now fast forwarding to March of 2019, a time that I still had my friend's PlayStation, which I used that same PlayStation to play Payback and do my Let's Play on it, and didn't know my own PlayStation until 2 months later in that same year. There was a sale at that time of EA games, and obviously Need for Speed was in it. The two that I didn't own from the Ghost Games collection was Rivals and 2015. I bought those two and played them. And Rivals I enjoy, even if I don't care what people said back in the day. It's basically Hot Pursuit 2010 remake with a story mode, and I enjoy the hell out of the game. Even with the pursuit tag, sadly that it doesn't have manual transmission, and it's brake to drift, but it is what it was, and enjoy the hell out of the game. 2015, I would have enjoyed it more if, one, it wasn't always online, two, the handling wasn't just so weird, and three, more customization options than what it was limited to. Then eventually got expanded to the other two Need for Speed games that Ghost Games went out to make. Between the two, I enjoy Rivals more than 2015. More action. Now, we have come full circle to the latest release of this franchise. That is not a remaster and an original game, Heat. We all know how Heat was basically promoted. Took like 2 months later than usual to announce the game, and there even was an app, which I wish I had a phone that could handle the app, so I can make custom cars and make my own trailer, but it's just too late now. Now, experience with Heat, it was a bit difficult. Even seeing my Let's Play that I even had to delete a live stream because of copyright. But the experience was okay. I'm not gonna say that it was terrible, but I'm not gonna say it was great either, because handling, it was just kinda off. I don't know. I don't know what to explain, if it's the setup that I have, even if the vehicle is completely stock-ish, to the point that it understeers, or it's just how I'm handling the car terribly bad. And that is without the 911 RSR. And there wasn't any updates at all besides crossplay and the black market, which that wasn't really nothing. But the thing that I enjoy the most about this game, and Payback as well, is the livery editor. You can go and look for other people's wraps and put it on, or even create one. But the thing is, the difference is, I should say, between this or these two games, Payback and Heat, compared to any other racing game that features the same feature of a livery editor, it's easier to do it in Need for Speed than anywhere else. But the one thing that I wish that Criterion should really take account of when it comes to the livery editor is to add filters to look for what you're looking for, as in, if you want to look like for a Formula D livery, you can just put Formula D and it will pop up a lot of results. Or even you want to look for a Need for Speed livery, like let's say you want to look for Darius's livery or Cross's livery, you put that in, Need for Speed Carbon or Need for Speed or Darius or Cross, and boom, you got what you're looking for. They should have that, because who the hell wants to scroll through 1,000 freaking liveries just to find what you're looking for, or just to see what you like? Yeah, well, to see what you like, it's different, but what you're exactly looking for shouldn't just really take this a long time to do it. Overall, I'd say Need for Speed Heat is the best Need for Speed in a long time, arguably, you could say. That had potential, but EA decided to kill it too soon, Junior. So yeah, this is basically all the experiences and stories that I had with the franchise of owning the games and playing the games that I could get a hand of, for being a fan and supporting the franchise for over 10 years now. It may not seem much of a story, probably, but I'm just going off by my memory here, so yeah. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.